Yesterday it was windy, it was dusty, and it was a losing day as the Cubs were beaten. Today, inspired by an old-timers game, the game is played under bright sunshine, great clear skies, a lot of stars on hand, and hopefully the Cubs will turn it into a winning day as they go for the rubber game of the series with the San Francisco Giants. Stay with us for all the exciting action coming your way in a moment.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Channel 9. The Cubs are brought to you by Golden Draft and Golden Draft Light from Michelob. Wouldn't you rather be holding a Golden? By True Value. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value hardware stores. Buick and your better Buick dealers. Depend on their cars. Rely on their service. By United. Chicago's hometown airline is proud to be the official airline of the Chicago Cubs. By your local 76 dealers who invite you to go with the spirit of 76. Pepsi-Cola, gotta have it. And by the Chicago Tribune. Get in the game. Get a Tribune.
Caray with Steve Stone. We're at Candlestick Park. It's an old-timers day here, and some of the great names of baseball are in action on the field right now. Hopefully, it'll inspire the Cubs into more winning ways as they try to take this third final and rubber game of the series.
Mike Morgan is going to the mound in search of his third win of the year, and Billy Swift was supposed to start this game and try to improve on his 6-0 record. But his arm is a little tired. Dave Burba is going to get the start, and he came over with Billy Swift from Seattle.
It seems to me like Roger Craig, the manager of the Giants, any pitcher he's a little bit undecided about wants to get him into the lineup against the Cubs because the Cubs aren't hitting.
Well, he knows, Harry, there's no important games in May. You can't lose Swift, so on comes Burba.
All right, we'll be back now with the starting lineups in a moment. For baseball. Here's the starting lineup for the Cubs presented by Pepsi. Sosa in center, Smith in left, Grace at first, Sandberg at second, Dawson in right, Salazar back in action at third, Girardi the catcher, Vizcaino at shortstop, and Mike Morgan, who's 1-2 and lost 2, will be the pitcher. The defensive alignment against that offense of the Cubs: Felder in left, Lewis in center, Corey Snyder in right, Williams, Clayton, Litton, and Clark around the infield, Manwaring the catcher, and Dave Burba, who's 1-2 lost 3 with a good earned run average, will be the pitcher. The umpires are Randy Marsh behind the plate, Dana DeMuth at first, Gary Darling at second, and Harry Wendelstedt is at third. They had an old-timers game here a little earlier. Dave Kingman of the Cubs, Ernie Banks of the Cubs, Hank Sauer of the Cubs, Sarge Matthews. There's Ernie Banks. The way he appeared, there's Juan Marichal. And here is Dave Kingman, as big as ever, and there's Reggie Jackson from the Bay Area. And there's Willie Mays. All here on hand. Moose Gowan, Enos Slaughter. And here's Willie Mays making the catch that he made famous, a basket catch. But now it's down to the real of the nitty-gritty. The Giants and the Cubs each have won one game in the series. Boy, you look at the batting averages of the Cubs as a team, and you wonder Why how come they've won as many as they've won? They're only hitting 224 as a club, and they've only stolen 13 bases.
There's a couple of Hall of Famers, Joe DiMaggio and Harry Carey, down on the field in the dugout before the game. And what did Joe have to say for himself, Harry?
I tell you, Joe looks so good, sounds so good. You know, as a player, as a young man, he wasn't very talkative. He's kind of shy. But as he's gotten older and he's become much more articulate, and he's a handsome man, and really a thrill to rub elbows with him. And I know you feel the same way. Well, I started to talk about our hitting, and there's very little of it. But when you figured the team only has stolen 13 bases, so they don't have speed, and they're only hitting 224, so they don't have hitting, that puts an undue amount of pressure on the pitching, which has been not too bad.
Well, the only team in the National League that has hit worse than the Chicago Cubs is the Houston Astros. And this, as a team, just not getting the job done offensively. It starts right at the top with Sammy Sosa. Now, everybody knows that Sammy Sosa is the only runner on this team. The problem is his on-base percentage is just .306. That's not the kind of on-base percentage you need at the top. But today, in an effort to get more speed at the top, it's going to be Sosa and Dwight Smith and Mark Grace in the 3 spot. So perhaps with this lineup, the Cubs can generate some sort of running game against Dave Burba, who goes to the mound today for his 5th start of the year, his 9th appearance overall.
All right, the Giants have taken the field, and we're ready to play baseball. Boy, Montreal is beating Atlanta bad again. The Phillies were beaten for the 3rd time in a row by San Diego. Final score is 6-5. And Seattle has made it 3 in a row over Toronto. They beat them again today. So there's some surprise. California shut out 2 days in a row by Boston. Bounced back and beat the Red Sox 3-1. Had them shut out until the bottom of the 9th when the Red Sox scored a run.
You know, Harry, not too many people are talking about San Diego. When everybody talks about the National League West, they look to Cincinnati and perhaps Atlanta. But the reality of it is that Atlanta is 4 games under 500. San Francisco is leading the division, but don't look now, but San Diego, who will provide the opposition for the Cubs after they face the Dodgers, is in 2nd place, and with the win today, just 1 game out of 1st place, and they're 3 games over 500. They've now won 4 games in a row.
Yeah, they may be a factor before this thing is over. San Diego, they didn't start too well, but Joe McElvain, their general manager, is not very hesitant about making trades.
There you look at the man who will lead off against Dave Burba. That's Sammy Sosa with Dwight Smith in the number 2 spot. And Dave Burba came over along with Billy Swift and Mike Jackson in exchange for Kevin Mitchell and Mike Remlinger. That was December 11th of last year. Burba started his career as the 2nd-round draft choice of the Seattle Mariners in June of 1987.
All right, we're ready to go. Burba, big guy. He stands 6'4", weighs 220, 25 years old, out of Ohio.
Burba feels that he's best suited as a starter. That's what he did his whole minor league career. He had a couple of brief shots with Seattle. He only started 2 games, but had some appearances out of the bullpen. And after becoming a starting pitcher at the beginning of this year, he was shuttled back in the pen.
First pitch. In there, a strike call. Sammy Sosa 1 out of 7 against the Giants for the year. This is the first time that the Cubs have played the Giants since the season started. And the series is tied up. A game apiece is a high foul ball out of play. And he's behind on the count 0-2.
You can tell the scouting report on Sammy Sosa has gotten around the National League. And bear in mind that every one of these games, there's an advanced scout from the team you play next or the team you play after that. So the advanced scouts from the Dodgers and San Diego looking at the Cubs in this series. But the fact that Burba started out with 2 curveballs to Sammy Sosa leads you to believe that they've got a pretty good idea about how they want to work him.
High fastball. One ball, 2 strikes. Seattle beat Toronto for the 3rd time in a row, 3-2. Minnesota down Cleveland, 9-5. San Diego beat Pittsburgh 6-5. Struck him out again. And Sosa goes down swinging. 1 away. And that for Sammy is an alarming number of strikeouts. He must be, let's see, here he is. Sosa is fanned 38 times now.
You can tell by that graphic that Dave Burba is most vulnerable in the 1st inning. But the Cubs don't usually score in the 1st inning, so something has to give here today.
Here's Dwight Smith. Bouncing ball, foul outside first. Smith had 1 out of 4 yesterday. Hit the ball very hard another time with 2 men on base. But right at Darren Lewis, the center fielder. Shorten up as if to bunt.
You could see Ryan Sandberg talking with Sammy Sosa, and he wanted to know if he's throwing a riding fastball, meaning does it sink or does it stay up? And the fastball he threw by Sosa was a riding fastball. It didn't sink at all.
There's a line drive right at the second baseman. Greg Litton right in the way of Dwight Smith's line drive. 2 gone.
Smitty's still hitting in some tough luck, and he's forced his way back in the order after coming back from the minor leagues. And since coming back, he's swinging a very solid bat. Unfortunately, many of the line drives are right at the Giant players.
2 men around, nobody on. And here is Mark Grace. Grace 2 out of 9 in the series. Fastball low and away. Burba, B-U-R-B-A. You spell his name backwards, you get Abrub. Dave Burba. 1 ball, 1 strike. Curveball outside. Joe Reeves, who covers the Cubs for the Tribune. His dad is watching the ball game in New Orleans. Now the pitch. A drive, left field. Way back. It'll be caught. And it is by Mike Felder in the left field corner. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the 1st. No score. Caray at Candlestick. Here's the Giants lineup. Lewis in center field. Felder in left field. Clark in first. Snyder in right. Williams at third. Manwaring catching. Litton at second. Clayton at short. And Dave Burba pitching. And Pepsi presents a defensive alignment. Dwight Smith in left. Sosa in center. And Dawson in right. The infield. Salazar, Vizcaino, Sandberg and Grace, Mike Morgan on the hill, and Joe Girardi catching. And here is Darren Lewis. He's 1 out of 8 in the series. Takes his strike call.
Mike Morgan is 2-3 lifetime against San Francisco. The ERA 3.45 in 10 games.
Bouncing ball. Vizcaino over the first. He's out. 1 gone. That'll bring up Mike Felder. Very fleet-footed left-hand hitter. I mentioned Joey Reeves writing the baseball for the Tribune. He must be Joey Reeves III, because his dad is watching the game, is enjoying a birthday today, and it's Joe Reeves Jr. who's watching the game in New Orleans. 66 years old today. So from his son, Joey, a happy birthday to Joe Reeves Jr. in New Orleans. Bouncing ball, that ought to be easy. Sandberg, the great.
Now is when Mike Morgan has to bear down, because over the course of his career, Will Clark has absolutely killed him. Sitting .467 against Morgan. Morgan's also had some problems with Matt Williams, who's hitting .333, but it's been Will Clark who's done most of the damage. And let's see if he can retire him today. He already got a couple of very tough men at the top in Lewis and Felder, who can both run.
Will Clark is hitless in each game. That's the first time since last September that he's gone back-to-back without a hit in either game. And the Cubs down through the years. There's a line drive base hit for Will Clark. He's on his way to second base with a double. Well, it looks like he made up his mind to go the other way. And he lined right down the left field line for a double.
Salazar was well off the bag, and Will Clark took advantage of it. Morgan stayed away. Will Clark inside outs this ball and drives it into left field. And so the hit parade continues, with Will Clark now hitting an even .500 against Mike Morgan.
The Cameron family from Portland, Oregon, here to see the Cubs. Here now is Corey Snyder, hitting .200 with one home run. Ground ball to short. Vizcaíno throws in time to retire the side. One hit, one left. At the end of one, no score. Caray and Steve Stone. Here's Sandberg leading it off. Swings, misses the first pitch. Lynn and Mike of our crew with friends in Buffalo Grove. There's a pitch a little bit outside.
Purvis given up just one home run this year and now 27 innings of work. But during the daytime, it's a very lively park until the wind kicks up around 3 o'clock.
A high pop foul out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dave Burba against Mike Morgan. Rubber game of the series. Cubs started this road trip winning 2 out of 3 in Houston.
Doesn't sound like much, but the Cubs haven't won back-to-back series on the road since the last series of 1990. They were unable to do it all of last year and all of this year so far.
High pop foul. Might be playable. Everybody chasing it. Nobody can reach it. So, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ryan Sandberg leading off, hitting .268 for the year. 4 homers, 17 RBI. He's 3 out of 8 in this series.
That shows you how much room there is in foul territory here in Candlestick Park. The catcher, Kurt Manwaring, and Will Clark on a full sprint and couldn't get to the ball that fell in play.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Fouled it off. The count remains the same. Lou Dixon, whose parents, Pete and Pat Dixon, live in Springfield, Illinois, watching the ball game here. That evens the count, 2-2.
Takes a very strong arm to go out to the mound once every 5th day all season. And here on San Francisco, they're starting to question the durability of Billy Swift. You know, he came over as a full-time reliever from Seattle, and although he's 6-0, they don't know if his shoulder is going to hold up.
Oh boy, he had a good cut of the high fastball and fouls it back.
If Burba keeps throwing the fastball up there, he's going to give up his 2nd home run of the year. But I think Kurt Manwaring is going to call that curveball, and he's going to try to keep it low and away.
He fouls it back. He had a pitch in his wheelhouse again that time, and he fouled it back. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I'm not quite certain why they decided to go with the fastball, but Sandberg just barely missed it. He got under it, fouled it straight back, and that shows you when a hitter does that he's right on it and just has to make an adjustment.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Another fastball, and he drills it to left field. Sandberg signals to left. And that will bring up Andre Dawson. Andre hitting .305. 5 homers, 22 RBI. He's had 5 hits in the series, 5 out of 8. 4 of them came in the first game when he had 4 out of 4.
One of the reasons why Andre has that batting average of over 300 is the fact that he is starting to take the ball to right field if the pitchers stay away from him. If he hits it out there enough, he'll get it inside, and then he'll be able to pull it.
There's a fastball in there, a strike call. Boy, the Padres beat the Pirates again today. They had quite a battle yesterday. They finally won 10-9 in spite of a grand slam by Barry Bonds, who had 2 homers to take over the league lead. There goes a runner to pitch. He is going to be safe. Wait a minute, he's hurt on a play. Let's see, slowly coming up, and Rhino's all right. He steals his 301st base of his career.
Stolen base number 4 for Rhino. Litton thought he had him at second. Pretty good throw by Manwaring. There you see the tag, and he tags him high on the thigh, and he's really out at second base. However, he gets the benefit of the call. Gary Darling doesn't call him out. You'll watch it again here. See, the front leg goes over the bag. The back leg hits the bag. And Rhino's lucky he didn't hurt himself because he hit it hard with the back leg.
2 balls and a strike. Runner on at second base. Sandberg with a base hit and a stolen base. Nobody out. There's a drive center field way back as Darren Lewis makes the catch. After the catch, here comes Sandberg advancing to third. Dawson hit that ball deep, but Lewis in center field made the catch easily. Sandberg advancing after the catch.
Fine piece of base running by Rhino. He took a couple of steps and then realized that the ball was going to go deep enough, and here he comes. He'll make it to third easily. And now this is a very big at bat for Luis Salazar. The Cubs have been shut out 7 times, and they've got an opportunity here with only 1 out to score Ryne Sandberg. And surprisingly, Roger Craig in the early innings of this one has the infield in, and that's most unusual. You try to stay out of the big inning, but he figures it'll be a low-scoring game with Mike Morgan on the mound, and he wants to cut off the go-ahead run.
Carried Luis Salazar off the field yesterday. Here he is back in there playing today. The pitch swung, tried to check, but he went around. Strike 1.
Corey Snyder has the best arm in the outfield, and he's in right field. Felder and Lewis, not too much as far as throwing is concerned.
Curveball low. That evens it up a ball and a strike. About 30,000 fans, I guess.
I was surprised, Harry, at how many came out early today to see the old timers. That's a good sign.
1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch. High foul ball back into the stand. Let's pause here for station identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Luis Salazar, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Sandberg, the runner at third, 1 away, infield in. Outside a curveball. 2-2.
Louis not doing it, and I guess it's not his batting style, but you've got to come up on the bat and make sure you make contact. You see, he's got a little batting ring down there, which naturally takes the bat up about half an inch or an inch or so.
2-2 pitch. Ball 3. And Girardi will be next. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
You see the ring right there, and it allows you to choke up, but you get the feeling that you're down on the knob of the bat.
Throws his bat at the ball and gets it. Base hit. A run is in. Holy cow. The throw into the plate. Intended for Will Clark, went over his head. Almost got away from Manwaring. How about that? Luis Salazar fooled on a pitch, threw his bat at the ball, and lined a single to right.
We talked about Salazar getting the big hits for the Cubs, and this is a big one. RBI number 7. The slider is low and away. A great pitcher's pitch, and Salazar drives it into right field. It's a big run for the Cubs, who were shut out yesterday. They've got the lead in this one. And Snyder shows off his good arm as we watch the swing of Salazar, just guiding it into right field.
I guess he's practiced that swing quite a bit. And it worked. Practice, practice, practice. 1 out, 1 in. Girardi swings, loops a foul out of play.
Well, Girardi off to a great start this year, and he's seeing more and more play. There was 3 catchers when the season started. Rick Wilkins going down to the minor leagues, and Girardi splitting it evenly with Villanueva. But now that Hector has got his batting average at 121, Joe is seeing more play, except when Greg Maddux goes to the mound.
0-1 the count. Throw to first, runner back. Now you're talking about Bill Swift. Did you see where he's the 14th? Second youngest of 15 children. Boy, he's a product of a very prolific mother and father.
They must not have had a television set.
The pitch, a high, and that evens a count, a ball and a strike. I think maybe the rhythm system really doesn't work like that. 15 children. And Bill Swift is the second youngest. 1 ball, 1 strike. Curveball low. 2-1. Montreal blanking Atlanta 5-0 in the 8th. Seattle defeated Toronto again 3-2.
Be a good game to win for the Cubs going into the LA series. The Dodgers just put Darryl Strawberry on the disabled list, and they are really down.
There's a throw. The runner back. What a Mark McGwire, the Oakland A's. Hit only 201 last year. This year he's batting .317 with 16 homers, 33 RBI. What a turnaround.
Coincidentally, Harry, it's his option year.
Yeah. You don't really think that has anything to do with it, right?
I think if you look at the numbers of players in their option year, you'll find it staggering as opposed to what they do in the first and second year of a 4-year contract.
3 balls and a strike. Cubs lead 1-0. There goes the runner. Ball gets away on ball 4. And Louis holds up in second. So runners are on first and second. And Jose Vizcaino will hit left-handed against Dave Berta, who has saved a wild pitch by virtue of the fact it was ball 4.
We'll take a look at the reaction of Kurt Manwaring. He realizes that with the runner going, he's got to get to the ball in a hurry to keep Salazar off third base. Carlos Alfonso going out to the mound. He wants to have a word with Dave Burba, who's run into some trouble here in the second inning. Now here's a man who gave up most of the runs as a starter in the first inning and only 1 run as a starter after the first. But the ball gets right by Manwaring, and it's still not a wild pitch, however.
So runners are on at first and second. A run is home. The Cubs are out in front 1-0. The Cubs have been shut out 7 times, so it's rather reassuring to score early. Vizcaino hitting .125. He's had 4 out of 32. There's a strike call over the inside corner.
I think Jose will hit better when that thumb heals completely. It's still not healed. It's on his right hand, and it gives him some difficulty. It's heavily taped before every game, and it's surprising he throws as accurately as he does.
A little bit low and away. He started the swing, checked in time. Minnesota beat Cleveland 9-5 today. One ball, one strike, one out, one in. Fouled it back. Men at first and second. Girardi at first, Salazar at second. Louis drove in his 7th run of the year. Yankees clobbering Oakland 11-3. The bit. A bit inside.
In that,
evens the count.
In that Oakland game, Harry, they took off Jose Canseco. He went limping off the ball field after colliding with the wall in right field.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Fouled it back into the stand.
Felder is playing very shallow in left field and over toward the line. Burba staying away from Vizcaino, and that's a pretty good spot to play him. You see how close Felder is to the line, and you see Lewis in center field shading him to left center.
Vizcaino. Good cut. Fouled it back. So far, he seems to have shown a little more zing to his swing right-handed.
Well, I think he's feeling bad, Harry. I think left-handed is when that right thumb really bothers him the most. He's only got 2 hits and 23 at-bats from the left side. And as it heals even more, he'll make some contact.
High, pop foul. Matt Williams chasing it near the stands. No play. Randy Marsh, the plate umpire. DeMuth, Darling, and Wendelstedt around the bases. Well, Jack McDowell of the White Sox was beaten for the first time yesterday. He had been 7-0, and now he's 7-1. Ground ball down the first base line. The only play is at first the runners advance to second and third. And here's Mike Morgan, a pretty good hitting pitcher. Morgan has had 2 hits in 16 times at bat with 1 run batted in.
Will Clark has made 3 errors this year. They've all been throwing, and that might have gone through his mind as he looked at second base. He didn't have much of an angle on the throw and realized that with the pitcher coming up, you don't want to risk a bad throw at second and allow yourself open for the big inning. So he took the easy out at first.
Runners second and third. He can help his own cause considerably with a hit here. He started a swing, tried to check, went around, strike 1. The Cubs fly to Los Angeles after the ball game today. 0-1 the count. Fastball right in there. 0-2. St. Louis playing in Houston are tied 5-5 in the 7th. Struck him out and the inning. But the Cubs got a run on 2 hits. They stranded 2 men. We go in the bottom of the second, 1-0 Chicago. Harry Caray back to the ballpark. Leading it off, Matt Williams, who had 2 hits yesterday. Jim and Patty Napier from Decatur, Illinois, are enjoying the ball game. Decatur, that's Bob Skeffington country. Budweiser distributor there. The pitch to Williams. Strike call over the outside corner.
We've got a former Chicagoan in the booth with us all weekend, Marty Mabry, who's doing a fine job on the camera. He was with us in Wrigley Field for many years, but they booted him out, and here he is.
Now he lives in Reno, right?
Yes, he does.
Reno, Nevada. There's a strike call. Good fastball over the outside corner. And Matt Williams is behind 0-2.
Williams didn't like the call of Randy Marsh, but when you're around the plate, and Mike Morgan is that, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. Now, Williams, a lot like Clark, has had a lot of success against Mike Morgan, hitting .333 against him lifetime. Morgan's only given up 1 home run this year and now close to 47 innings of work.
Boy, he jammed him. Salazar throws him out. Boy, he hit him right on the handle of the bat. 1 out.
We talk about getting in your kitchen, and this is what it means. You can't extend the hands, and you see Matt Williams recognizing the inside pitch, trying to bring his hands in, but he can't do anything but hit the ball right off the handle of the bat, and it just shatters in his hands. So an easy play for Luis Salazar.
Marie Ellen Eichinger and Bill Lane from Pekin, Illinois. There's first pitch, ground ball. Manwaring will be thrown out. Manwaring on the first pitch. Grounds out to Vizcaíno. A good omen. Every out has been on the ground.
Really vintage Mike Morgan, because when he's at his best, he's a sinker baller. And you can't do much with the sinker ball except hit it straight in the ground. 5 outs, 5 ground outs. The only thing that's been different is a line drive by Will Clark.
2 out, nobody on. Fastball outside. Greg Glidden, who had a homer and a double, 3 hits in the first game, 0 for 2 yesterday. 2 balls, no strikes. Alvin and Jeanette Vittleto are here from Washington, Iowa. Now the pitch low, ball 3. The White Sox have a big lead over Baltimore, 12-6. After Baltimore had won the first 2 games of the series. But the White Sox have come back today and built up a big lead. Here's the pitch. Fouled out of play, 3-2. 2 out. Greg Glidden hitting .242 for the year. Fouled it again.
Glidden doesn't usually hit well against most of the National League, but he seems to kill the Cubs. You saw the graphic earlier, a lifetime batting average of .327 against them.
The pitch. There's a drive. Going hard. Whoa! What a catch by Andre Dawson. Andre raced in the right center for a backhanded, one-handed catch of Litton's line drive to retire the side. At the end of 2, Cubs lead 1-0. Harry Caray and Steve Stone as we go into the top of the 3rd. Here's Sammy Sosa. High fly ball on the first pitch. Corey Snyder back, makes the catch. Sosa flies to Corey Snyder in right. 1 gone. That'll bring up Dwight Smith.
Corey Snyder has been the odd man out in the outfield for San Francisco. He's not getting much play, but Willie McGee turned his ankle around second base yesterday, and now Corey Snyder gets another chance. Willie will be out 2 or 3 days.
1 out, nobody on. Hot shot up the middle, base hit. Dwight Smith on the first pitch singled sharply. And here is Mark Grace.
If Smitty continues to swing the bat like he has, He is going to get a lot of playing time against the right-handers. He's very aggressive right now. He seems to be seeing the ball very well. And with the Cubs just 7-15 against right-handed starters this year, they could use the left-handed bat of Dwight Smith.
Throw to first, runner back. John and Mike Ford are here from Fresno, and the Scudder family from Fort Wayne.
Dwight 2 out of 4 in the stolen base department, and Burba is holding him close. It would appear that Jim Lefevre, starting his running game early with Ryan Sandberg stealing a base in the second, is going to run most every opportunity to try to shake this team out of their offensive malaise.
A little bit outside. Jim Dove out of Tempe, Arizona. That line drive, it's going to be fade ball into the corner. Here's a run around to third base, and Grace goes to second. Runners are on second and third with only one out. Boy, that barely hit the fair side of that line.
Harry Wendelstedt straddling the line, getting a good look at this as Mark Grace inside outs it. And we'll slow it down for you and show you where it hit. Tiny Felder comes over, and you can see it's fair by about 3 or 4 inches as the ball caroms off the wall. Felder gets to it quickly. Had he to do it over again, he might have gone to second base with his throw. As Grace coasts in, and he's not near as fast as Dwight Smith, there was no chance to get him at third.
So runners now are at second and third, only one out. And they're going to intentionally pass Sandberg, hoping that Dawson will hit a double play. And so the bases will be loaded, only one away. And the Cubs in a great spot. To add to their cushion, they now lead 1-0.
Andres grounded into 3 double plays this year, but so far Dave Burba is throwing a lot of fly balls and line drives. He's not a sinker ball pitcher. If you remember our picture in the first inning, Ryan Sandberg asking Sammy Sosa what the fastball did it sink or ride? Burba throws high fastballs. That means line drives and fly balls. So let's see if Andre can keep it off the ground and plate the second Cub run.
Mike Dieters is here from Wichita, Kansas. Andre Dawson. Bases loaded. 1 out.
And the Giant bullpen up and going already.
He started a swing. Did he go around? They appeal. They say yes. Strike one.
Looks like Kelly Downs loosening up.
0-1 the count. Bases loaded. Infield back. Hoping for a double play. Line drive, base hit, 1 run is in. Another man's going to try. A good field. Now they got the man trapped Sandberg between second and third. They tag him out. The 2-run score on Dawson's line single to left is 23rd and 24th RBIs of the year. 3-0 Cubs.
We talked about the inability to get the ground ball, and it comes back to haunt Dave Burba. He throws this slider out over the plate, and Andre Dawson rifles it into left field. Good cutoff by Matt Williams, because he knows you're not going to get the man at the plate as Mark Grace and Kurt Manwaring exchange pleasantries. Williams doing the job on Sandberg, but not before 2 runs have scored, and it's a 3-0 lead.
Here's Salazar. He swings, lines one foul into the seats in left field.
We'll take a look at Mark Grace. Now, for some reason, he decided to put the shot on Manwaring, who shouldn't have been anywhere near the plate because the play was not at home.
Now the pitch swung on, ground ball, too sharp over the second force play, but 2 runs score on 3 hits. We go into the bottom of the third. The Cubs are out in front 3-0.
Kids, live your baseball dreams on Chicago's own Field of Dreams, Chicago Cubs All-Star Kids Clinic. That's Tuesday, July 14th at Wrigley Field. Receive instruction from players and coaches along with gifts for everyone attending. For more information, call 312-404-CUBS. Tickets are on a limited basis, so call today.
Caray with Steve Stone. Tom Brenneman will be with us at the end of this inning. Here is Royce Clayton leading off. Curveball in there, a strike call. Mike Morgan going for his 3rd victory of the year. He has a 3-run lead. Here's the pitch inside.
It's a very big jump from AAA to the major leagues, but it's an enormous jump from AA to the major leagues, and that's what Royce Clayton is trying to do. He was at Shreveport last year in AA. He made the club out of spring training, and he's trying to adjust.
A little bit low and outside, 2-1. White Sox lead Baltimore 12-6. Detroit at Kansas City 1-1 in the 9th. Line drive right to Mark Grace. Clayton. Line to Grace. 1 out. And here is Dave Burba, the pitcher. There's a fastball right in there. 1 out, nobody on. Morgan's given up only 1. He hit a double to Will Clark in the first. Strike 2 call. 0-2.
Burba still looking for his first major league hit.
He swung late on a fastball, fouls it off.
Cubs are playing very shallow, as you would expect, and around toward right center field. Andre very shallow in right as we pan around and take a look at the defense for a light hitting pitcher.
He struck him out. 1-2 away. First strikeout for Morgan. Well, they're here from Winnemucca, Nevada. Bob, Penny, Ferris, Brim, Gary, Dave, Tonette, and Bill on their annual trip to see a Cubs victory here at Candlestick Park.
Let's look at the bullpen, and a beautiful day to sit out there today, and they're hoping that they're going to be inactive all this afternoon.
There's a pitch. He tried to bunt. Darren Lewis, the fine young center fielder.
Last year he was really unable to pull the ball, and Dusty Baker, the hitting instructor, has been working long and hard with him. His natural stroke is still to right and right center, and if you get the ball in on his hands, he can't do much with it. But he's getting a little better at getting the bat head out.
Pitch a little bit low and away. Jeff Schindler here from Sacramento. And Betty Clayman from Gualala, California. There's a ground ball. Grace has it. Morgan covering for the out. 1, 2, 3. Nothing across. At the end of 3, Caray from Candlestick, where the Cubs are leading 3-0.
Cubs got 1 in the second inning, 2 more in the top of the third, along with Harry Caray, Steve Stone, and our producer director Arnie Harris. I'm Tom Brenneman at Candlestick. And the Cubs looking for a very good start, Stoney, to this road trip. They could make it back-to-back series wins against Houston and then here in San Francisco with a win today.
And if they do that, Tom, it's going to be the first time they won back-to-back road series since late in 1990. Mike Morgan throwing the ball very well, and it's a pleasure that the offense showed up today, Tom.
After being shut out yesterday, the 7th time this season the Cubs have been blanked. Joe Girardi begins the 4th with a roller race Royce Clayton's way, and he throws him out for the first out in the inning.
I think the reason for the resurgence of the offense is your tie. Very colorful tie today.
Yeah, well, some of the boys down in the clubhouse got pretty excited about it. So, well, hopefully your bats will blind the audience at home today rather than this particular tie. And so far, anyway, so good. Vizcaíno bounced out to Will Clark his first time up. Fouled away, strike one.
Jose still doesn't have the stroke that he's going to have as he gets a little bit further away from that thumb injury. Don't forget, he spent 15 days on the disabled list and was probably activated before he should have been.
Vizcaíno rips one into left center field. Darren Lewis is over and makes a running grab. Darren Lewis has never committed an error since coming to the major leagues late last season, and he shows you why he can go get him as well as just about anyone.
Lewis goes over, makes a fine play on this one, and he was shading Jose Vizcaíno to left center. That enabled him to get over there in plenty of time. And Lewis has the great speed that you need in this ballpark. Of course, he had a pretty good predecessor here in the early days of this park, none other than number 24, Willie Mays, who was at the Old Timers game today.
Boy, some big names, some former greats from the American and National Leagues. Reggie Jackson, he looks like he should still be playing. He is in tremendous shape.
And likewise for Bill Madlock, who looks like he should not be playing.
You're right about that.
And there's the basket catch, and he caught that against Reggie Jackson, who tried to go deep, but not deep enough.
Dave Kingman almost hit one out of here. Went way foul. In batting practice, Kingman had about 9 or 10 over the left field wall.
He put on a show in batting practice, much to the delight of the young people that came down early for this one.
Mike Morgan draws a walk from Dave Burba with 2 men out in the 4th inning. That is Burba's 3rd walk of the day. So Sammy Sosa, despite being in the 4th inning, is already coming to bat for the 3rd time. He has struck out and flied to right. If you're just tuning in, Sandberg, a leadoff double in the 2nd, stole second base, scored 1 out later when Salazar knocked him in with a single into right. And then with the bases loaded in the 3rd, Andre Dawson continued his hitting spree these days with a 2-run single into left.
I think Andre is the happiest man around that the 3 series on the West Coast are all going to be played on natural grass, because get him off that artificial surface and the knee feels good, and when the knee feels good, Andre Dawson can still hit with anybody in this game.
Team high 24 RBIs for Dawson. Sosa into straightaway center. Lewis is there, and the inning is over. No runs, no hits. A man left on base through 3 1/2 frames. The Cubs hold a 3-0 lead. Lead the Cubs over the Giants as we head for the last of the 4th. It'll be 2, 3, and 4 in Roger Craig's batting order. Mike Felder, Will Clark, and Corey Snyder. Mike Morgan, straight A's so far here through the first 3. He's only allowed 1 hit, banned a batter, and not walked 1 single batter. Morgan struggled with his control earlier this season. In 45 innings, he's walked 19, but 18 of those came in, I believe, about his first 31 innings.
I don't think he believed that his control was as bad as it was early, Tom, but now he seems to have zeroed in on the strike zone, and when he does that, he gets a lot of ground balls and keeps the ball in the infield most of the day.
1 and 2 to Felder.
With Willie McGee out of the lineup, Roger Craig decided to put his 2 speed burners at the top with Lewis and Felder. So far, they've been fast back to the bench.
Felder barely got a piece of that breaking ball from Morgan to stay alive at a ball and 2 strikes. Felder bounced out Sandberg's way back in the 1st inning. Morgan, a former Dodger, he has faced these Giants 10 times, a 2-3 record. And Morgan pitched in one of those key games the beginning of October last year when the Dodgers pennant hopes faded away in the final series of the year against Atlanta. That is a foul ball.
Brandon Demuth taking a look down at Randy Marsh. It's the home plate umpire's call if the ball doesn't go by the bag. And so Randy Marsh said, yes, it was foul, and Mike Felder would have another life. It's fair at this point, but Mark Grace has the ball just go to the wrong side of the line as far as the Cubs are concerned.
Well, as many of you know by now, Dave Burba is pitching in place of Billy Swift today, and that ball hit Mike Felder in the head. Or did it get his bat? I thought it hit his helmet. I guess it did get his bat because he's staying around in the box.
Fortunately for Mike Felder, it caught the bat as opposed to the batting helmet. High riding fastball. He ducks under it and gets a foul ball for his efforts.
Chopper right side. Grace has it. He'll outrun Felder to the bag for the first down here in the Giants' 4th inning. That's a scary play, Tony. I don't know if you saw it last week. White Sox were playing Baltimore, and Alex Fernandez hit Billy Ripken in the head. Wondering for a few moments there if he was going to get up.
And they did take him to the hospital, but fortunately, he said he was feeling okay. And now the man who has tormented Mike Morgan over the course of his career, Will Clark, who recorded his first hit of the series, the first inning.
Clark, the only man to reach base so far today against Morgan, and Mike fooled him with a breaking ball there for strike 1. Morgan has retired the last 8 he's faced.
Will Clark says he's always used a 32-ounce bat. He used it in college, he uses it here, and he feels that it's velocity through the strike zone as opposed to heaviness of the bat that allows him to hit the ball like he did last year, which was 29 home runs and 116 runs batted in.
1-1 to Clark. And it goes to 2 balls and a strike. Will was saying before the game today how difficult it is to hit here at Candlestick Park. Everybody talks about the weather. But he brings up the grass is so deep, a lot like Wrigley Field, where there are balls you'll hit that infielders make routine plays on that would get through the holes anyplace else. There's a liner off the bat of Clark. It turns into out number 2.
Well, grass is supposed to be thick, Tom. It's supposed to be so thick that you lose sight of the ball when it travels through the grass. You have to give the pitcher some advantage. They lowered the mound, and they won't let him spit on the ball. They give him rosin that doesn't work. I mean, you got to give the pitcher some advantage.
You do?
Yeah, I think knee-high grass would be good in the infield.
2 down and nobody on, and here is Corey Snyder, the right fielder. Kevin Bass getting the day off. Strike 1 to Snyder. 9 straight retired now by the Cubs right-hander. Morgan, a great outing his last time out. He didn't figure in the decision in a 3-2 Cubs late inning victory. 0-2 to Snyder. That was a game Morgan had a no-hitter through 5+ innings. Meanwhile, Jimmy Jones, the Houston right-hander, had a no-hitter through 7 1/3 frames.
Neither pitcher was around to figure in the decision. Snyder had his best years with the Cleveland Indians, but it hasn't panned out for him here in the National League.
Ball and 2 strikes, 2 down and nobody on base. The Cubs in front here in the last of the 4th, 3-0. Morgan delivers, and a fastball is outside, 2-2. Montreal hung on to beat Atlanta 5-4 earlier today. There's a swing and a miss, and Snyder gone. The 3rd consecutive 1-2-3 frame for Morgan. We played forward. Cubs 3, Giants nothing.
In Cubs baseball is Pepsi-Cola. Gotta have it.
Tom Brenneman back at Candlestick Park with 6-0 right-hander Billy Swift to the Giants. And Billy, your first season over here in the National League. Boy, you couldn't ask for much better.
No, I couldn't. I think things are going pretty well right now. I feel comfortable throwing, and it seems like the guys are coming out and scoring some runs for me.
How important has it been for you, Billy, not knowing National League hitters, to rely on your pitching coach, your manager, people who have seen some of the hitters in the league?
I think most of it, I have to rely on the scouts that are out scouting the teams and coming back with reports and showing me what the weaknesses are, different hitters, and who's hot. And that's basically it. And I'm just going out there and throwing my stuff.
Do you find yourself pinching yourself every now and then saying, I can't believe it's already a month into the season? 6 wins and no defeat.
Yeah, it's been nice. I've had a couple of tough games, but other than that, I felt pretty comfortable. And, I got over 20 more starts left, so it's a long year, and I'm just going to go out and try to pitch consistent at times.
Billy Swift, the 6-0 right-hander. He got an extra day off today. Burba starting in place of Swift, who's had a little tightness in that right shoulder, but nothing to be alarmed about yet.
Well, they were talking, Tom, about the fact that you take a man who made 71 relief appearances last year, didn't start any games at all, and he finds himself in the starting rotation here in San Francisco, which at best is a very difficult place to pitch. And they're starting to wonder if he's got the physical stamina to go through a 35-start season. Well, I guess Billy Swift and his shoulder are the only people that can answer that, and we'll have to see down the line if he does hold up.
Cubs are in front 3-0 here in the top of the 5th inning. The Cubs 3 runs and 5 hits. The Giants no runs, 1 hit against Mike Morgan. Race is 1 for 2. He doubled and scored a run in the 3rd inning.
Morgan's doing a very good job, Tom, and I think that Roger Craig showed you that he felt this was going to be a low-scoring game, because in a 0-0 game he brought the infield in with Luis Salazar up, and you very rarely see that in the 2nd inning.
Back up the middle, it hit the mound and drops into center field for Grace's 2nd hit of the afternoon.
There's Roger Craig, who feels that he handles a pitching staff as well as anybody in this game. As a former pitcher and a man without the great credentials, a man who lost 20 games 2 different times, he became a student of pitching, and he's done a pretty good job putting together pitching staffs in this ballpark, which is a very difficult thing to do. They lose perennially at least 5 of their pitchers to the disabled list, year after year after year.
But as we talked about on Friday night, that's probably due to a combination of reasons why. You brought up the weather and how bad it can be for a pitcher here at Candlestick, and many believe it's just not coincidence, and I think you're one of them. That the split finger fastball certainly has led to a number of elbow problems on the Giant staffs through the years.
Some of their pitchers will tell you the same thing, although Roger Craig, a great proponent of that, he says if you throw it right, it doesn't hurt you. But that's a kind of a convenient thing, because then when you get hurt, he says, well, you're not throwing it right. There is no right way to throw it. I don't believe that's not going to hurt your elbow, although a guy like Bruce Sutter had a long and illustrious career throwing it.
Broken bat roller should be 2. Williams to second, on to first in an inning-ending double play. 1 hit, none left through 4.5. Cubs 3, the Giants nothing. Cubs leading 3-0. Mike Morgan has only surrendered 1 base hit. He's retired the last 10, and he'll face Williams, Manwaring, and Litton here in inning number 5. Williams' first trip bounced out to Salazar at 3rd base. California beat Boston today 3-1. Langston over Dobson. New York 11-2 over the Athletics. Perez beat Stewart. Melito Perez doing a great job for the Yanks after that trade from the White Sox involving Steve Sachs. 4-3 record, but an ERA in the mid-2s.
And New York desperately needed some pitching. They've got pretty decent hitting over there, but the pitching has been suspect.
1-0 to Williams, and a breaking ball is down and away. Seattle beat Toronto 3-2. Johnson beat Key. Schooler is 8 save. Minnesota is starting to roll now. 2 games better than 500. 9-5 the Twins over the Indians. Aguilera got his 12th save for Tom Kelly's team. 2-1 now to Williams. White Sox in a real slugfest with Baltimore. That game in the bottom of the 7th inning. 12-8 White Sox leading. That took about a month to add that up. Digits in every inning. Kansas City over Detroit 2-1. Texas plays Milwaukee later, and we'll give you the National League in just a while. Two to Williams.
Talked with Matt Williams before the game, and he said that he doesn't adjust his style anymore. I asked him if he changed his stance or his hand position. He said he did that so much early in his career that now he's settled on one particular style of hitting, and he just stays with it. And that's the open front foot. And he's got to take it right at the pitcher. He can't cover the outside corner.
Fair ball behind the back. Salazar, a strong arm, and shows it off there with a strike to Grace. 1 out. Stoney, what makes, in your opinion, a good hitting coach? Dusty Baker is regarded by many as being one of the best in all of baseball. But what do you think makes a difference between a very good one and maybe a middle-of-the-road guy?
I think the same thing holds true, Tom, for a pitching coach or a hitting coach. And you can talk about mechanics till the cows come home. Either a man can hit or he can't hit. But what a hitting coach has got to do is remember what a guy looked like when he was hitting well. And if he can get that in his mind, if he can remember the hand position, the foot position, and these days that's helped out a lot by all of the video that's taken around the ballpark. But if you can remember what a guy is doing when he's going well, and then when he falls out of it, get him back to that position, you're pretty good.
Manwaring to Vizcaíno, and Morgan just keeps mowing them down. The first two retired here in the 5th.
And there's another factor, Tom, and that is that both a hitting instructor and a pitching coach has got to be part psychologist and part father confessor. He's got to be able to keep his hitters up on a daily basis, because nobody's figured out a way to get guys out of slumps. They're going to go into them, either a pitching or a hitting slump. When you get into a slump, you have to have a man behind you, your coach, who keeps telling you, look, you're going to come out of it. Just stay with what you're doing and come out, take some extra batting practice, or throw some extra pitches off the mound, and you'll get back to what you should be doing.
Nothing ball game here at Candlestick in the bottom of the 5th inning. Cubs leading the Giants. Mike Morgan has not surrendered a base hit since Will Clark's 2-out double in the 1st inning.
This is also the control that you'd expect Mike Morgan to have, the control he didn't have early in the year, but the control that he's shown the last few starts. After the double by Clark, he has retired everyone else in order. So the only thing that stopped him from perfection is an opposite field double by Will Clark in the 1st inning.
12 in a row retired by Morgan, trying to make it 13 with Greg Litton here, and it goes to 2 balls and a strike. Litton hit the ball hard into right center field his first time up, but a fine play in the alley by Dawson. Foul ball, 2-2.
Cubs would dearly love to have this series. It would give them 2 series wins on the road in what everybody considered to be the toughest road trip of the year for them. 12 games, 14 days. The West Coast at times have been a nightmare for the Cubs, and they can't afford to fall back at Pittsburgh by that much.
Pirates lost their 3rd consecutive game to the San Diego Padres on their home turf, incidentally, earlier today. 6-5. Pirates lost. Litton down the right field line. It slices foul.
You know, Tom, Arnie Harris brings out a good point. He's saying that every time you see video from a Pittsburgh series, you see Jimmy Leland blowing his top at some umpire. And maybe there is some pressure. You know, he's won 2 years in a row, but he's never won the whole shebang. And perhaps he's feeling some pressure, even though he's got a long-term contract now. He knows he's going to be in Pittsburgh. But I think one of the factors here is that he knows after this season that he's going to lose Barry Bonds. And if he's going to get in the World Series and perhaps win it, he might feel that this has got to be the year for him. And the pressure mounts on everybody in this game, but especially the man who's calling the shots in the dugout. It has not been a calm Jim Leland early in this season.
3-2 to Litton, and it's ball 4 low. Morgan walks his first man of the afternoon, so the string is over at 12 in a row retired by the Cubs right-hander. For those of you tuning in late, here's a look at the first 2 Cubs scoring plays of the afternoon. Salazar back in the 2nd inning after Sandberg had singled and stolen second, knocked him in on a single into right field. Louis' 7th run batted in. Then with the bases loaded in the 3rd, it was a 2-run single by Andre Dawson to make it a 3-0 game. Sandberg tagged out, trying to go 1st to 3rd on the play.
That was a great piece of hitting by Luis Salazar. It was a 3-2 slider low and out of the strike zone, and Louis had committed himself to swing and essentially just threw the bat at the ball and dumped it down the right field line, and that got the Cubs on the board.
2-0 now to shortstop Royce Clayton, and Joe Girardi going to come out and have a word with Morgan.
Kelly Downs continues to throw in the bullpen for the Giants, and if Royce Clayton can keep this inning alive, we're going to take a look at Kevin Bass, who's swinging a bat in the on-deck circle. You certainly don't want to get to him when you've got a right-hander up there hitting in the low 220s. You want to get him out.
Right down the middle, 2-1 to Royce Clayton. Clayton lined to first base his first trip. Get a look at Kelly Downs in the rotation. The better part of this season, skipped over this time due to a couple of off days here in the Giants' 10-day swing. Vizcaíno to Sandberg ends the inning. No runs, no hits, a man stranded. We played 5 at Candlestick. Cubs 3, Giants nothing. Back with Steve Stone, I'm Tom Brenneman at Candlestick Park. A 3-0 Cubs lead as we begin the 6th.
Andre Dawson, one of the big reasons why the Cubs so far have an over 500 road trip. And are looking to make it a 600 road trip.
Dawson, a long drive way back into left field. Felder will watch it go. Home run. What a show this 37-year-old Cubs right fielder is putting on through this 92 season. You Cub fans appreciating the man they call the Hawk. His 3rd run batted into the ball game, number 25 of the year, and his 6th home run.
Andre Dawson brought the hands in, got a high inside fastball, and took it way back over the head of Mike Felder. Long gone, and the Cubs now have a 4-run lead behind Mike Morgan.
And the way he's going, that's plenty enough. Salazar, a roller Matt Williams' way. That's the first out here in the inning. Here's another look.
Let's take a look at this one. As True Value donates $100 because Andre Dawson jumped on a high fastball and took it way back. The $100 to Cubs Care, and they'll happily take it, as True Value will happily give it. Andre Dawson is on fire here on the West Coast.
Dawson's 2nd home run in this series. He had a 4-hit game in the series opener in the Cubs' 5-3 loss, or 5-3 win, I'm sorry, on Friday night when they came up with 3 runs to win it in the 9th inning against reliever Jeff Brantley. Girardi has drawn a walk and bounced out to Royce Clayton at short. Burba certainly pitching his final frame as Downs is set to go in the pen. Lifted into short center, a long run for Darren Lewis, but he's there, 2 away. And while we have a chance, let's pause for a station ID. This is the Chicago Cubs television network.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Back at Candlestick Park, Andre Dawson has knocked in 3 of the Cubs' 4 runs on the afternoon. A 4-0 Cubs lead with 2 down and none on here in the 6th inning. And now it'll be Jose Vizcaíno. 0 for 2. He's lined to center and bounced to first.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
Jose gave you 2 foul balls.
Very nice of him to do that. You don't want to do the disclaimer over any action.
0-2 to the Cubs shortstop, and again he fouls it away.
Had I known that, I could really have drawn out the last couple of sentences.
Shortened up version of War and Peace. Really stretched it out to,
or Warren Spahn.
Or Warren Spahn, for that matter. The 0-2. And it goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Leadoff home run by Dawson here in the 6th inning has put Dave Burba in a 4-0 hole. Well, we have had absolutely beautiful weather these 4 days. When you throw in the off day Thursday in San Francisco, I don't even think we've seen a cloud in the sky. 3-2.
In their media guide, Tom, they list the rainouts here at Candlestick Park, and in the history of this ballpark, I think they've only had something like 3 rainouts in the month of May.
Should in the inning, Matt Williams drops the shades, passes into foul ground, and that'll do it. Dawson plays long ball in the 6th inning to account for a run on the only hit, 4-0 in the middle of the 6th. Giants nothing as San Francisco comes to bat against Mike Morgan for the last of the 6th inning. And it'll be a pinch hitter to lead things off. Chris James. He'll be followed by Darren Lewis and then Mike Felder.
James hitting just 111, and he's 0 for 13 as a pinch hitter this year.
James at one time a very, very solid player. Had some good seasons in Philadelphia 2 years ago. A great season with Cleveland. Fell upon hard times last year, and now he's with the Giants.
At one time, he was one of the fastest runners in the Philadelphia organization, but he tore up his ankle and really has never run the same. They thought he was going to be a star in Philadelphia.
Vizcaino will field the ground ball, and James is retired. Mike Morgan has only allowed 2 men to reach base throughout the entire game. A 2-out double by Will Clark in the 1st inning, and then a 2-out walk to Greg Litton in the 5th.
And so far, through 5 1/3 innings, he's induced the Giants to hit 11 ground balls, and that is vintage Mike Morgan.
Darren Lewis has hit 2 of those 11 ground outs, one to short, the other to first, and he looks at ball 1 low. Well, we understand the Orlando Magic will have the #1 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. They won the lottery today, so Shaquille O'Neal can pretty much just make his airline ticket down to the land of Disney. He'll be bigger than Mickey Mouse in Orlando.
Considerably. He'll be bigger than a lot of people in Orlando. So you think it's a foregone conclusion that he's the #1 pick?
Yeah, sure. Not even up for debate.
Nobody from DePaul?
I think he would just edge out David Booth. 2-1 delivery. And it's low and away. 3-1 to Darren Lewis.
Well, the question comes, who's Charlotte going to pick #2?
I got to believe Alonzo Mourning. There's going to be some heat for them to take Christian Laettner, though, being a Duke grad. There's ball 4 to Darren Lewis. Second walk in as many innings for Mike Morgan. He just walked a pair on the day. What do you think?
I think it's going to be morning.
Then afternoon.
Right. Then evening later on. And I think that Mike Morgan could help himself out a great deal if he can retire Felder. Because the man who hits him very hard is up after Felder, and that's Will Clark. He's hit 2 line drives off him so far. And you certainly want to stay away from the big innings with a 4-run lead.
Darren Lewis, a top base stealer for the Giants, 13 of them this season. Felder has bounced to second and rolled to first in 2 at-bats.
Felder doesn't mind bunting the ball, so you have to watch out for that, as Luis Salazar well knows, because he's in on the grass at third.
Right called, says Randy Marsh, showing 1 to Felder. Cubs 4, Giants nothing. 1 on, 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning from Candlestick. Cubs trying to make it 2 of 3 in this series after besting Houston 2 of 3 to open this road trip. From here, it's on to Los Angeles, then San Diego. Bouncing ball deep in the hole. Vizcaino will have to hurry, and he gets a force at second base. Good play. 2 down.
Pretty good play by Jose, realizing that Lewis is about the fastest man on his team. He gets it over in a hurry. The Cubs could only get 1. And now the worst that Will Clark can do to him is cut the lead in half. So that's a big out.
Stoney mentioned Will Clark doubled into left field his first time up. It's been the only hit for the Giants all day long, and then roped a seed right at Jose Vizcaino, the shortstop, his last trip. Have won again, getting 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning to beat Houston 7-5, and they pick up a game on the Pirates. Cardinals are rolling into right field, a base hit. On to third goes Felder, so the Giants a 2-out rally with 2 on.
Well, Mike Morgan knows that Will Clark can hit him, and unfortunately Will Clark knows that he can hit Mike Morgan. Now he's hitting over 500 against him, past the diving Mark Grace, and that puts runners at the corners. once again we go back to the all-important Felder play, which could stop this from being a big inning.
Corey Snyder is bounced to short and struck out in his 2 at-bats. Felder at third, Clark at first, 2 down, and the Cubs here in the 6th holding a 4-2 lead. There's a long drive to center. Sosa there, gone.
Only the second home run given up by Mike Morgan. Only the second home run that Corey Snyder has hit. He has tremendous power as he takes it out over the 400-foot side. And Tom, that was a hanging curveball that just came spinning high in the strike zone. And Corey Snyder went straight away. And just like that, the 4-run lead is down to a 1-run lead. And watch the hanging breaking ball. Right up in the eyes of Corey Snyder. And not much doubt about this as Sammy Sosa runs out of room. And the Giants pull within 1.
So just like that, San Francisco gets within striking distance. Here's Matt Williams. He has bounced to Salazar twice on the day. Jimmy Lefebvre's team got 1 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, 1 more on Dawson's home run beginning the 6th. But a 2-out, 3-run homer by Corey Snyder here in the bottom of the 6th has made it a 1-run affair. Williams has hit 10 home runs this season.
Snyder is no stranger to the long ball. He had some big years in Cleveland where he hit 24 home runs in '86, 33 home runs in '87, 26 home runs in '88, and 18 home runs in '89 before things started to dissolve for him on the shores of Lake Erie.
Your hometown.
Yes, sir.
Fouled away by Williams, out of play. Count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Corey was a #1 round draft choice, the 4th overall selection in June of 1984. So they had high hopes for him before they traded him to the White Sox. Later traded to Toronto. He was released by the Blue Jays and he signed with San Francisco January of this year.
Here's a 1-2, and Williams thought about it, held back. They appeal up to first base, nothing doing, says Dana Demuth. 2-2. A 3-run home run by Corey Snyder against Mike Morgan has chopped the Cubs lead down to 4-3. Two and 2 to Williams. Strike 3 called on the outside corner, inning over. San Francisco, however, comes up with 3 runs on 2 hits, none left. Harry back on board in the 7th through 6, a 1-run contest.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Caray with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. As we go now into the top of the 7th, and all of a sudden, it's a different ball game. The Cubs had been leading 4-0. One swing of Corey Snyder's bat, and it's a 4-3 game. Today's designated Bud batter, by the way, is Frank S. Sisulak from Riverside, Illinois. He has a chance to win $100 immediately and a share in a $10,000 bonus pool to be awarded at the end of the season. So good luck to Frank Sisulak of Riverside, Illinois.
Kelly Downs comes in the ball game in relief of Dave Burba. He's 0-2, the ERA, 3.76. On for the 8th time, and this is the first time this year that he's coming in out of the bullpen. Previous 7 appearances, all starts. He's given up 4 home runs in 38 1/3 innings. He's walked 18. He's fanned just 15.
And here we go. First pitch hit on the ground by Mike Morgan. Throw over the first by Rice Clayton for the out. Morgan rolled out, 1 away. Kelly Downs. Will face Sammy Sosa. Downs is appearing in his 8th game. He hasn't won any. He's lost 2, no save. 1 out, nobody on.
Royce Clayton came into this series struggling defensively, but we haven't seen it here. He's been flawless in the field against the Cubs, and despite the fact he's committed 6 errors and he's still learning at shortstop, he looks like he's got some tools.
The pitch. Swung and he missed. Sosa fanned once today. Fanned twice yesterday. The count. We're in the 7th. 4-3 Cubs. He was going to bunt the pitches high and inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. We're in the top of the 7th. Cubs lead now only 1. Downs pitch. High. Ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. Downs, a veteran right-hander. There's a drive. Deep right field. Might be. Is it foul? Yep. Down the right field line, foul. Sammy hit that ball hard, but it was fouled down the line.
Right now, Sammy really is not hitting the ball to take advantage of his speed. Now, he's got some power, but he's not going to be a 30 home run man. And he's hitting far too many fly balls to take advantage of that good speed. Eventually, they'll get him hitting down on the ball, be able to hit some line drives and ground balls, and maybe get some infield hits.
The White Sox beat Baltimore 14-10 today. 1 out. Sammy Sosa with the count evened up at 2-2. The Cubs scored 1 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 6th. Andre Dawson has batted in 3 of their 4 runs. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman Litton throws him out. So Kelly Downs, 32-year-old right-hander, has retired the first 2 men he's faced. Here's Dwight Smith. 2 out. Luis Salazar drove in the first run in the 2nd inning, throwing his bat at the ball and getting a single to right. Then in the 3rd, with the bases loaded, Andre Dawson singled to left. Driving in Dwight Smith and Grace. Here's a pitch into left center field for a base hit. Dwight Smith gets his 2nd hit of the day. A looping single to left center.
And they say it all evens out in baseball, with Dwight Smith hitting a lot of line drives at people the last week. Now he hits a little soft one that drops in front of Lewis in center. So at least for him on that particular hit, it did even out.
And here now is Grace, who's 2 out of 3. That's the first hit off Downs. Kelly Downs. That makes you think of a horse race, doesn't it? Only it's Churchill Downs. Or River Downs.
Or Ups and Downs. That's in England.
Is that the name of it?
Yes, it is.
Or Epsom. The pitch, there goes a runner. There's a peg. He is going to be saved for stolen base. Dwight Smith steals 2nd. His 3rd stolen base of the year.
That's 3 out of 5 for Dwight now, as the Cubs have 2 stolen bases today. That's number 18 this year for a team that has not run often. And he beats the throw fairly easily at 2nd. And the call down there by Gary Darling.
That's the 19th stolen base of the year for the Cubs. 0-1 the count. Mark Grace with a man in scoring position. A weak roller foul. 0-2 the count. Grace flied to left, doubled to left, and singled to center so far in this game. Boy, that was a big, big 3-run homer by Corey Snyder. The Giants looked like they were thoroughly beaten. And all of a sudden they realized they got a chance to win this one.
Well, allows them, Harry, to get that running game back in gear because they've got the 2 base runners at the top of the order, and in a 1-run game they become a big factor.
Now ready, the pitch into the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mark Grace with 21 RBIs. Andre Dawson now with 6 homers and 25 RBIs. He's only 17 away from the coveted 400. Dawson is. Now the pitch. Here it is. High, pop foul, out of play into the stands. Mark Grace is just really hasn't taken a swing at the ball. Looks like he's just reaching for it.
Well, he'll take a good swing if it's a good strike. What he's doing now is just spoiling some pretty tough pitches. Downs tried to throw the curveball low and in, and that was fastball tailing away, and Grace knew that with 2 strikes he had to protect.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Kelly Downs getting set. And the pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The curve inside. Quiet crowd so far today. Dwight Smith, a good lead at second. Outside, ball 3. 3-2 with Ryan Sandberg due next. There he is on deck. Smith the lead, 3-2. The pitch. Ground ball to the second baseman. And Litton throws him out to retire the side. 1 hit, no runs, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Cubs lead 4-3. Manwaring will lead it off for the Giants in the bottom of the 7th. Manwaring twice has bounced out to Vizcaíno. Vizcaíno has had 9 chances so far today, I think. 1 strike to nothing. Manwaring, Litton, and Clayton coming up in this inning. He's ahead of them now, 0-2. Mike Morgan was coasting along, had a shutout, 4-0. Well, with 2 out and 2 on, Corey Snyder hit the first pitch over the center field wall.
Michael Jackson is loosening up in the bullpen.
1 strike, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bottom of the 7th. White Sox beat Baltimore 14-10. That evens a count 2-2. Beautiful afternoon. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ground ball, Vizcaíno. There's a throw in time. Boy, he has been a busy shortstop today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a 9th chance. 1 put out and 8 assists for Vizcaíno at shortstop. That'll bring up Royce Clayton, their shortstop. Fastball looking outside, ball 1.
Litton has hit the ball fairly well just one time. Drew a base on balls the other time. He lined out, and Andre Dawson made a great play in the second.
Two balls, no strikes. One out, nobody on. The pitch. Base hit, left field. And Clayton is on. That's their fourth hit off Mike Morgan. And here's Royce Clayton. I should have said Litton. Just got to hit to the left field. Royce Clayton steps up to the plate.
That's going to send the bullpen to work for the Cubs. They have been silent all day as Morgan's been in control till the Corey Snyder home run. And now they're starting to stir.
Now the pitch. Swings, fouls it off. Litton rounded the hit on a great play by Andre Dawson in the second. Walked in the fifth and singled the left here in the seventh.
Paul Assenmacher starting to get loose, and he'll get loose in a hurry.
Assenmacher came in, pitched the last 2 innings. In the last outing of Mike Morgan at Houston. Now the pitch, swings late and foul. To the count. Runner at first. The pitch. Ground ball. Vizcaino over the second one. No play at first. And there's the 10th chance of the day for Jose Vizcaino. Bass is going to bat for Kelly Down.
Clayton doesn't get much into this swing, and Sandberg knows that with the speed of Clayton, you're not going to be able to double him at first, so he's very happy with a force out at second.
Kevin Bass. Bass yesterday had nothing out of 3, nothing out of 7 in this series.
Bass is hitting .221, 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter. And the left side is his best side, .268 as opposed to .133 as a right-hander.
Throw the first, runner back. Clayton, a runner at first base. 2 outs.
Clayton 4 out of 5 in the stolen base department.
The pitch. There's a high fly ball going to be caught. Dwight Smith near the warning track makes the catch. Kevin Bass flies to Dwight Smith. 1 hit, 1 left, no runs. At the end of 7, the Cubs still lead 4-3. At Candlestick Park, we go into the 8th inning with Ryan Sandberg leading it off. 4-3 in favor of the Cubs, going for the rubber game of the series.
Mike Jackson on the mound, and he's appearing in his 16th game. 0-1, .279 ERA.
First pitch is inside. Jackson, their third pitcher. Burba, Downs, and now Jackson.
Cubs took a look at Jackson the opening night here, and he pitched 1 inning, got out of it.
There's a pitch inside, ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Cubs anxious to add to their cushion, which is down to a very perilous 1. 2 balls, no strikes. Curveball in there, a beauty. There you get a look. There's Morgan. Grace to his right. Maddox to his left. 2 balls and a strike. Ball 3. Dawson will be next. Andre's been a standout again today. Great catch, robbing Litton of an extra base hit. 2-run homer. Or rather, a 2-run single, then a home run. He's driven in 3 of the 4 runs. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Swung, and he struck him out. Sandberg goes down swinging.
Pretty good fastball by Mike Jackson, who throws very hard. Take a look at the home run swing of Andre Dawson last time up. Gets a high fastball out over the plate, and not much doubt about this one. And at that time, the Cubs had a 4-run lead.
1 out. Andre Dawson.
Hassenmacher continues to throw in the bullpen, and that would lead you to believe that Mike Morgan probably has thrown enough for today.
His last start, he pitched 7 innings. Apparently, same thing's going to happen today. The pitch. Swung on, fly ball, center field will be caught. Darren Lewis is there, and he has it. They'll have the top of their batting order coming up in the 8th, starting with Darren Lewis, Mike Felder, and Will Clark. And here's Hassenmacher walking towards the dugout, which would indicate he is going to replace Mike Morgan. Luis Salazar, 1 out of 3. Fastball inside. He had a cut of a high fastball, and Mike Jackson threw it by him. The Giants only have 4 hits. The Cubs with 8. Foul back. And is behind on the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
The Giant bullpen has been the strong point this year. They've gotten some outstanding work from Rod Beck. We saw him yesterday. He picked up his 2nd save of the year. Mike Jackson has been effective. Jeff Brantley has been very effective. And the only man lagging behind, the left-hander, Dave Righetti.
Oh, hit by a pitch ball. Salazar. Wait a minute now.
They're not giving it to him. They're saying that it hit the bat.
That's the 2nd time that's happened. Happened to Felder a little early in the game. So apparently it did hit his bat.
Might have just gotten a handle of the bat. And Louis wants to get an Academy Award from Randy Marsh, who's not buying it.
Foul ball back. Had a cut of a high fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Boy, when you saw Louis yesterday, you thought he wouldn't be able to play for a week or 2. But he recovered quickly. Now the pitch. Whoa! Hey, what's going on? Luis Salazar. Hey, this could be. When they push Salazar away. Apparently, Mike Jackson doesn't like Luis Salazar for some reason. The umpires have broken it up quickly. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And now Randy Marsh out talking to Mike Jackson.
This one sails high over the head of Salazar. It's actually behind him, and Louis does a good job getting out of the way of this, and he is none too happy.
I would imagine that Randy Marsh issued a warning when he went out there to talk to Mike Jackson.
I don't think Roger Craig can believe it.
Step to the jacket, and that's Randy Marsh.
I think he's asking if he's warned. Randy Marsh says yes. He says, well, is Lefevre warned? And Randy Marsh says yes, he's warned also. So the next one construed by Randy Marsh as being a high-tight fastball. The manager and the pitcher will be ejected, as both Mike Jackson, Roger Craig, and Jim Lefevre are both warned by Randy Marsh.
The conversation goes on. All right, the count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Luis Salazar at the plate. Foul ball back into the stand. Boy, this guy throws hard. Mike Jackson. It was a pain from the Seattle ball club in the Kevin Mitchell trade. Struck him out swinging. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the 8th. Cubs 4, Giants 3.
And the official newspaper of the Cubs, and get a limited edition collector's print of the 25 greatest Cub players of all time. For subscription information, call 312-404-CUBS. That's 312-404-CUBS.
Harry Caray back to the ballpark. We go into the bottom of the 8th. Paul Assenmacher was 1-1, lost 1 and saved 2. Takes over from Mike Morgan. Morgan in 7 innings allowed 4 hits, 3 runs, a 3-run homer by Corey Snyder. Walked 2, fan 3. Here's the pitch a little bit inside. Assenmacher in 19 2/3 innings has fanned 20 men. That evens a count, a ball, and a strike.
And here's where the speed comes in a 1-run game. You've got to keep Darren Lewis off base. He's the premier base runner on this team with 13 stolen bases.
He pops it in the air. That'll be easy. And Mark Grace makes the catch. He's trying to bunt towards second and popped it up to Grace at first. 1 out. And that will bring up Mike Felder, switch hitter. Turns around to hit right-handed. Another very fast guy if he gets on. Will Clark is next. There's a strike called over the outside corner.
Bob Scanlon loosening up in the bullpen.
A little bit low.
Illinois Bell first called to the bullpen is Paul Assenmacher, who's on for the 19th time.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. 4-3 Cubs. The pitch. He was going to bunt, takes him high. And Joe Girardi can't believe that. He thought it was good.
There's Bob Scanlon getting loose. And you would think he'd be loose if the inning is alive to Matt Williams. Hopefully it won't get to that.
A high pop foul back out of play. And the count is evened up. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, bottom of the 8th. Cubs lead 4-3. Ball 3 low. Now Felder, a really good runner. Good guy to keep off of there. The pitch. He's going to be kept off of there. Sandberg. 2 away. And now here's Will Clark. He's 2 out of 3. The only time they got him out was on a line drive to Vizcaíno.
Brian Hickerson now loosening up in the bullpen for the Giants.
The outfield deep. Foul back. 1 strike and nothing. Will Clark with a very picturesque way of swinging the bat. He started to swing. He tried to check. He went around. 0-2 the count. Bottom of the 8th, the pitch. High pop foul back, out of play. Paul Ossenmacher in a relief role. Bob Scanlon getting ready. The 0-2 pitch. High. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Corey Snyder will be next. He struck him out. Ossenmacher strikes out Will Clark. Foul tip that Joe Girardi held on to. At the end of 8 innings, the Cubs still lead 4-3. Caray and Steve Stone. We go into the top of the 9th. Mike Jackson's first pitch. Sign on curveballs. Girardi takes it for ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. He had a cut. Boy, they have the very heart of the lineup coming up. In their 9th, Snyder, Williams, and Manwaring. The pitch. Inside. 2 balls and the strike.
Cubs would dearly love an insurance run here to take the pressure off Paul Ossenmacher.
Ball 3 low. 3 balls and the strike. Jose Vizcaino will be next. There's a high fly ball in the right center field. Corey Snyder makes the catch.
Brian Dennehy is one of the more accomplished actors of our time, and you can see him tonight at 11:30 opposite William Hurt in Gorky Park. And tomorrow night, of course, he stars as convicted serial killer John Wayne Gacy in the world television premiere of To Catch a Killer.
Vizcaino. Fastball outside. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. Boy, look at the hot dog wrappers blown on the field. There's a fly ball, left center field, going over for it is Felder, and he makes the catch. Vizcaino flies to Mike Felder in left center.
That's what speed will do for you, and it doesn't matter if it's on the base paths or in the outfield, as Felder playing very shallow for Vizcaino, able to run this one down and make the catch.
2 men are out. Paul Ossenmacher will hit for himself, which would indicate he'll be pitching in the 9th inning. 1 strike and nothing.
This is the first at bat of the year for Paul, although he has had 2 sacrifices.
0-2 the count. Four, 3 Cubs. Ground ball to the shortstop. Bryce Clayton throws. 1, 2, 3, nothing to throw. We go into the bottom of the 9th. The Cubs 4, the Giants 3. Harry Caray back to the ballpark. We go into the bottom bottom of the ninth, and here is Corey Snyder, who hit the 3-run homer in the sixth with 2 out off Mike Morgan. Takes the first pitch low.
McElroy along with Scanlon throwing in the Cub bullpen in case Paul Asemacher needs some help.
1 home run's been hit off Asemacher this year. He's going for his 3rd save. That evens the count, a ball and a strike. Snyder, 29-year-old. Infielder, outfielder. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's a line drive in the left center field. Oh, Dwight Smith could hold on to the ball. They might get him at second base, though.
That's a play that Dwight Smith should have made, but didn't. And Jim Lefevre in a 1-run game didn't go to his defensive alignment in the 9th inning. Normally, Doug DeCenzo would be in here in this situation, and Dwight certainly should have caught that one. It rolls out. It will go as a 2-base hit, but that's the tying run at second base, and the Cubs get a bad break on this one. Not well played by Dwight. He has the ball drop out of the glove.
So Asemacher now in the jam. Matt Williams. Boy, Corey Snyder, for a guy who hasn't played much and hasn't done much, certainly been very prominent in this game today. All right, Bob Scanlon will be coming in. We'll tell you more about him following this message. Bob Scanlon will be facing Matt Williams with the tying run at second base.
Scanlon comes into this game 1-1. The ERA 2.08 on for the 16th time. He's got no saves this year. In 17 1/3 innings, given up just 13 hits, 1 home run, walking 7, fanning 11. And the tying run at second, and up comes the ever-dangerous Matt Williams.
The crowd has come to life. Ground ball will advance the tying road, run to third. Williams rolled out. And Snyder went from second to third. And now Scanlon needs a strikeout.
Bear in mind something, Bob Scanlon does have 2 wild pitches, and also credit Matt Williams with a pretty good at-bat. Although he is a power hitter, the situation dictated he go to the right side, and he did just that, and that brings the infield in at all 4 positions.
Tall, rangy Bob Scanlon, 25-year-old right-hander. 6 feet 8 inches tall. Infield in. Low and outside. Boy, oh boy, what a difference that fly ball off the bat of Corey Snyder made in this ball game. It should have been caught. However, the score called it a double. Right out of Dwight Smith's glove. Well, ball 2, they appeal, thinking that he had gone around. And the count now, 2 balls, no strikes.
The Giants lead the National League with 8 extra inning games, and the Cubs are trying to keep them from extending it to 9.
Ball 3 pops out of Joe Girardi's glove. And now he's really in trouble. Wendell Kim, third base coach, yelling to man wearing Bob Brenly at first base. 3 balls, no strikes. He swings at a 3-0 pitch, and he fouls it back. And boy, he had a good rip. Three balls and the strike.
Very surprising that Roger Craig would allow him to swing 3-0, representing the winning run, but he did just that.
Ground ball, holds the runner at third, throws at first. Vizcaino. And boy, Scanlon helped his own cause, getting the glove up in time to deflect the ball over to Vizcaino, who looked at Corey Snyder to freeze him and then threw out the batter.
Fine effort by Bob Scanlon. Good quick hands, and Vizcaino able to make the play, making sure that Snyder will not go anywhere. And we'll watch the whole play again. Watch the quick hands of Bob Scanlon. And bear in mind, anytime you have to cross over your body to the throwing side with your glove, it takes very quick hands, and the Cubs get a break.
Well, now it's up to Greg Litton. He's hit the ball well all through this series. The pitch. Fastball is high. Rice Clayton would be next. 2 out. Cubs lead 4-3. Giants with a tying run at third. A little outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Salazar drops back at third base. Swung in the nuts. He threw the fastball by him. And Litton walks around, getting set.
It's been a great series for Greg Litton so far. Bob Scanlon is out to change all that.
Now ready. High, ball 3. Rice Clayton due to be next. Foul back, and the count now is full 3-2. They come down to the last pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, runner at third. Cubs lead 4-3. Here it is. High, pop foul back, and out of play. Another fastball. Outfield, straight away to pitch. Ball 4, Walker. And so, not only is a tying run at third now, but the winning run at first. And here's Rice Clayton, 0 for 3 so far. Boy, this could have been such an easy ball game for the Cubs, but for two plays. A 3-run homer with 2 out, accounting for all 3 of the runs.
Uribe's going in to pinch run. Litton's coming out. And it seems like a small thing, but it takes away a force out at second base on a bang-bang play. Uribe about a step to 2 steps faster than Litton.
And here is Jim Lefevre coming out. Everybody gathers around Bob Scanlon.
One thing I think he wants to talk about, Harry, is perhaps an attempt at a double steal. And he wants to make sure that the Cubs are thinking along the same lines about how to defense it if Uribe does indeed try to take off. Just a pep talk for Bob Scanlon. As long as Royce Clayton is in there, he wants to keep the right-hander in, and there's Chuck McElroy getting loose just in case Roger Craig would go to the left-handed hitting McNamara.
Now ready. Clayton 0 for 3 today. Swings and he fouled. He went after a bad pitch, high and inside.
Have a very anxious rookie up there, and Bob Scanlon can make it work for him. You don't necessarily have to throw a good strike. And it looks like he's going to try to jam Clayton.
Ground ball. Up with it. Cubs win. Cubs win. And Scanlon worked out of the jam. Royce Clayton hit the ball towards right field. And Sandberg went over to his left, came up with the ball, and easily threw him out. So, let's watch it again.
Bob Scanlon does the job. He gets his first save of the year, and Scanlon is slowly gaining the confidence of Jim Lefebvre. And you couldn't hit it any better than hitting it at Sandberg as far as the Cubs are concerned. And let's watch the reaction of Bob Scanlon.
And that is save number 1. He's won one, he's lost one, and now he's saved one. And the Cubs have won the rubber game of the series. So they started this road trip winning 2 out of 3 in Houston. Then they come to San Francisco. They just have won 2 out of 3 here. Now they head for California, and hopefully they'll do the same against the Dodgers.
And Harry, it doesn't sound like much when you're 4-2 on the West Coast trip, but the fact is that the Cubs have won 2 road series for the first time since the last series of the year in 1990. And so they're slowly getting it together on the road. They came here just a terrible road team, but 4-2, and you can see that Scanlon is still pumped up. Girardi, a very good friend of Bob Scanlon's, and they're ecstatic because Scanlon was a man known, Harry, as a guy who could pitch in the middle but maybe couldn't wipe you out at the end of the game. Jim Lefebvre insisted that this man could be a save-type pitcher, and he showed a lot of confidence in him today by leaving him in this ball game.
You know, Steve, I recall, you know, he hasn't been too good fielding off the mound, and yet it was a fielding play that saved the ballgame for him. His own fielding play, when the line drive, he got his glove up in time to deflect it to Vizcaino, who, by the way, handled 11 chances airlessly today, and that was such a big play.
One of the most difficult things for any pitcher is after delivering the ball to move that glove hand over to the throwing side. And that ball looked like it was headed into center field because it was a drawn-in infield. Had it gotten by Scanlon, there was no chance. It would have gone by Vizcaino easily. The fact is, he did get the glove up, deflected it, and with the infield in, the play was easy after that. And coming here to face this Giant team, Harry, they had won 4 in a row when the Cubs got here. They were in first place by 2 games. They took them 2 out of 3 in their home park. That's got to give the Cubs a lot of confidence because they moved to L.A., and with Darryl Strawberry on the disabled list, the Dodgers are very much of a down team. So maybe another 2 out of 3 in the offing.
All right, let's hope for it. Well, it's very, very quiet here now, but it's such a beautiful day. And the Cubs have won their ball game 4-3 over the Giants. We'll be